you're building something cool. Maybe it's 2 a.m. You just fixed a super annoying bug. You write this clean, beautiful function, it works perfectly.
3 weeks later.
You're building another project and you're like, wait, didn't I already solve this? So you open your old repo, you search, you scroll, you open 17 files. You search for handle submit. You search for use effect. You search for final fix. 2, nothing. Now you're questioning your sanity. You know you wrote that perfect debounce function. You know you made that clean auth middleware. You know you had that one regex that solved everything. But it's gone, lost in the graveyard of old GitHub repos. And this is the very normal, very painful problem almost every web developer runs into. We don't forget how to code. We forget where we put the code. And that's the funny part. We build SaaS apps. We build AI tools. We build full stack systems. But we don't build a system for our own brain. So instead of digging through 10 past projects every time I needed something, I decided, okay, that's it. I'm building my own AI Code Snippet Vault. Something simple, built with Next JS. Because routing and server actions just make life clean. And Insforge for auth, storage, and AI integration. So I don't have to glue together 5 different services. The idea is simple. Whenever I create a useful piece of code, a hook, a middleware, a utility function, a regex that saves my life, I store it in one place. But here's the twist. It's not just a storage box, because storing snippets alone doesn't solve the real problem. Sometimes you save code, and later you look at it and think, what was I even doing here? So I integrated AI. Now when I save a snippet, the AI can summarize what the code does, suggest improvements, even refactor it if needed, so future me doesn't suffer. And the best part, it removes friction. No more digging through old repos, copying random Stack Overflow code again, and rewriting the same utility for the 5th time. It's like building your own personal Stack Overflow, but that actually knows your style. It's organizing your own brain. So let's get started. First, we need to set up our Insforge backend. Head over to insforge.dev and create a free account. Once you're inside, create a new project. I'll call mine Snippet X. Insforge gives us everything we need out of the box. Authentication, a PostgreSQL database, file storage, AI capabilities, and even serverless functions. Everything is configured automatically, which saves us a lot of setup time. Next, I installed Next.js using npx create next app at latest, and then the name of your app. That basically scaffolds our whole project structure for us. Then I installed Insforge with npm install at insforge/sdk and at insforge/nextjs, so we can connect our app to the backend services. Of course, we also want the app to look clean and modern. So I installed shadcn using npx shadcn at latest init. After initializing it, I added some components that we'll need, like button, card, input, text area, badge, and select. That gives us reusable UI components we can plug in anywhere. Now, Insforge also has its own MCP server, which is really useful if you're comfortable working with AI agents and automated workflows. But for this project, we're going the manual route. That way, we understand exactly what's happening behind the scenes instead of letting everything run automatically. All right, now that everything is set up, let's talk about authentication. Instead of setting up Firebase Auth or Auth0, or building our own JWT system from scratch, Insforge gives us everything pre-built. First, we create a .env local file. This is where we store our backend URL and anonymous key. You should never commit this file to GitHub. That's why it's included in .gitignore by default. Inside that file, I defined our next public base URL and our anon key. These values allow our front end to securely connect to our Insforge backend without exposing sensitive credentials. Now let's create our Insforge client. This is a singleton that will import everywhere we need to talk to the backend. Inside our source folder, I created a folder called lib and a file called Inforge. Inside that, I used our base URL and anon key to create our Insforge client, meaning this is basically the bridge between our Next.js app and the Insforge backend. Now for the provider pattern. React context is powerful, but when you mix it with Next.js server components, things can get a little confusing. Some parts run on the server, some on the client, and suddenly your auth state is not where you expect it to be. Luckily, Insforge gives us a pre-built provider that handles all the auth state management for us, meaning we don't have to manually track whether a user is logged in, store tokens, refresh sessions, or pass user data through props everywhere. Next, I use that provider inside our layout. We wrap our entire app with this provider in the root layout. Now, every component in our app can access the auth state using the use user hook. Super clean. Now that we're done connecting Insforge to our Next.js app, let's talk about database design. We need to store snippets, obviously, but what fields do we actually need? Think about it. When you save a code snippet, what do you want to remember about it? The code itself, of course. The programming language. Maybe a title and a short description. tags so you can search for it later. And since we're adding AI features, we also need columns for AI-generated summaries, suggested improvements, and explanations. On top of that, we're supporting file attachments. So we need to store the file URL and some metadata about the file as well. So after thinking through all of that, here's the schema I came up with. First, let's talk about the snippets. Instead of using auto-incrementing integers for IDs, we're using UUIDs. Next, the user ID. Each snippet's user ID references the auth.users table with something called onDelete cascade. What does that mean? It means if a user deletes their account, all of their snippets are automatically deleted too. Everything stays clean, no leftover records. Now let's look at tags. Tags are stored as a PostgreSQL array, specifically a text array, written as text brackets. This allows us to store multiple tags in a single field without creating a completely separate tags table. For a simple application like this, it's a clean and practical solution. And now we get to the really interesting part, row-level security, also known as RLS. RLS is basically database-level authorization. Even if someone somehow bypasses our front-end validation and sends a malicious request directly to the database, they still can't access another user's data. The database itself enforces the rules. Auth.uid is a function that returns the currently authenticated user's ID. If it doesn't match the user ID in the row, the query gets rejected. It's like having a bouncer at the database level. Finally, I added some indexes for performance. One speeds up getting all snippets for a user. Another helps sort by creation date, and the GIN index enables lightning-fast filtering and full-text search on tag arrays. All right, now let's build the UI, starting with the landing page. This is what users see before they log in. We want it simple but polished. First, let's talk color scheme. I went with a dark theme because developers love dark themes and it makes code snippets easier to read. Plus, it just looks more modern. For typography, I'm using Next JS built-in font optimization with Inter. It's clean, readable, and already optimized for web. Now for the dashboard layout. This is where users spend most of their time, so we need to nail the UX. I went with a sidebar navigation pattern. In Next.js, layouts are powerful. They wrap child pages and persist across navigation, meaning the sidebar doesn't re-render when you switch pages. We're also using usePathName to know which route we're on. That's how we highlight the active nav item. The useUser hook gives us the current user's data. And we're managing logout state locally because we want to show a loading spinner during the sign-out process. Next, let's define our nav items. Of course, we have the dashboard, which routes to our main dashboard page, then tags and settings. Pretty self-explanatory. All right, now let's build the dashboard page. This is where users see all their snippets. First, we need to fetch the snippets from the database. Then we'll show loading states, so users know something's happening. Next, we'll add search functionality so they can quickly find what they need. Let's start with the basic structure. First, I defined a TypeScript interface for our snippet data. This gives us autocomplete and type safety throughout the component. Multiple pieces of state here. Snippets holds our data, loading shows the loading UI, search query for the search input, and selected tag for tag filtering. Also, I added a use effect runs when user changes. Once logged in, we fetch snippets. The Insforge SDK follows a pattern similar to Supabase, where you chain methods together to build your queries. First, .select, with an asterisk inside parentheses, which simply means get all columns. Then, .order, passing in created_at and setting ascending to false. This sorts the results so the newest entries appear first. I also created a function to filter and search through Markdown and snippets. When you first see it, it looks scary, but it's really not. It's just regex, which is basically a pattern for finding text. We'll make a full video about regex later, but for now, let's keep it super simple. Next is how I filter and search through our snippets. Search checks title and description. Tag filter checks if the snippet has the selected tag. Both filters work together. Now, creating snippets is the core action of the app. The form needs to be intuitive, validate input, and provide feedback. Let's build it step by step. I created a folder called New and a file named Page inside it, which will be our new snippet page. Inside it, I imported everything we need, like use user from Insforge. Then I defined a constant called languages that contains all the popular programming languages developers might use. Then I moved on to the form, which includes fields for the title, description, code, language selection, and tags. We'll insert this into our Insforge database, including the user's ID to ensure that only they can see and edit it. And after they submit it, they'll be redirected back to the dashboard. Now for the fun part, the snippet detail view. This is where users can view their code, edit it, delete it, and use AI features. It's a lot of functionality, so let's break it down methodically. First, we need to fetch the snippet by ID from the URL. Next JS app router makes this super clean with dynamic routes. And then we use useparams to get the snippet ID from the URL. Now let's start fetching the data. I created a useEffect function to fetch data from the snippets table, and I used .equal_to, passing an ID and the ID value, to filter the results so we only get the specific snippet we're looking for. Then I also created functions for saving, which update the new state, and deleting, which use the delete function to remove that specific snippet. Now, here comes the AI part. This is where it gets really cool. We're hooking up AI to actually look at our code, give suggestions to make it better, and explain what it's doing. Insforge makes this easy because it has OpenAI compatible AI endpoints, so we don't even need to mess with API keys or worry about quotas. So here's the plan for the AI features. We're going to have three main things it can do. First, generate a summary of the code. Second, suggest improvements. And third, explain the code in detail. In the app, I made a folder called API, then inside that an AI folder, and then a summary folder. Inside that, there's a file called route. That file is basically our API endpoint for generating AI summaries. First, what I did was extract the code and language from the request body, then call Insforge as a service. The AI API works just like the OpenAI API, so the structure is the same and easy to use. First, we choose a model. Here we use GPT-4o Mini because it's fast and low cost. Next, we send messages to the AI. These messages include a system prompt, which tells the AI how it should behave, and a user prompt, which contains the actual request. Finally, we set the temperature. Temperature controls how random the AI's response is. A value of 0.7 is a good middle ground. Not too random, but still a little creative. The response structure is like this. Standard OpenAI format. We handle errors gracefully and return JSON. Next is the Improve API. It follows the same pattern, just a different prompt. The system message sets the AI's personality. Here, it acts as an expert code reviewer. The user message asks for improvements, and the AI will analyze the code and suggest refactors, optimizations, or better patterns, as well as the explain endpoint. But it uses a patient teacher persona. This makes the AI's explanations more beginner-friendly and detailed. Then I created three functions that will handle the summary, the improve function, and then explain function. Each function follows the same pattern. After that, we update the database with the AI response. Then I used React Markdown to render everything the AI generated, so it looks clean and well-formatted. But sometimes code alone isn't enough. Maybe you want to attach a screenshot, a diagram, or a PDF reference document. That's where I added storage. First, we need to create a storage bucket. We'll call it Snippet Attachments and make it public so users can view their attachments easily. Now let's add file upload functionality to our snippet detail page. First, we validate the file size. We set a 5 MB maximum to prevent abuse. Second, we generate a unique file name using a timestamp plus a random string. Third, we use upload auto, which automatically detects the file type. Fourth, we get the public URL for the uploaded file, so we can store it in the database and display or access it whenever we need. Fifth, we store the public URL, the storage key, and the original file name in the database, so we can reference, display, or delete the file later without any confusion. For deletion, we remove from storage first, then update the database. Then I just render it on the screen. Simple. And now, let's make sure everything works by testing it. This is where our go-to testing agent, TestSprite, comes in. First, go to testsprite.com, links in the description, and either sign up or sign in. Then connect it via MCP. Start by creating your API key, and then install it simply through MCP. TestSprite has really solid documentation if you need guidance. After that, go to your AI agent and say, test this project using TestSprite. It will open a new tab asking for your configuration. Once that's set, you can upload your PRD. Once uploaded, TestSprite will open a new tab again. But this time, it will start creating tests for your web app. After a while, you can see what passed and what failed. You can even view the details of each test step. And here's the best part. You can edit specific steps in the test, giving you flexibility with inputs and locators. And one more bonus. TestSprite gives you a 1-month free trial to unlock all features. Check it out at the link in the description. And there you have it. We've built a complete AI-powered code snippet manager from scratch. Let's recap what we covered. For our backend, we used Insforge for authentication, database, storage, AI, and serverless functions, along with PostgreSQL with row-level security for data isolation and proper indexing for performance. For our front end, we use Next JS with the app router, Tailwind CSS for styling, Shad CN for polished UI components, and TypeScript for type safety. Now, we have created a full-stack web app that includes user authentication with pre-built components, full create, read, update, and delete operations for code snippets, AI-powered summaries, improvements, and explanations, markdown rendering for beautiful AI responses, file attachments with cloud storage, and much more. This isn't just a tutorial project. This is a production-ready application you can actually use every day. Deploy it to Vercel or Netlify, connect your custom domain, and you're live. And speaking of custom domains, check the description below for great deals with Namecheap, our partner. Check it out. And if you love how fast our database, authentication, AI integration, and other features were built, also check out Insforge in the description. Perfect for creating software and building real products. And if you found this helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who wants to level up their full stack skills. Well, that's it for now, Novas. Thank you for watching.